MIX. VVPR. MIX. MIX. KOSS. MIX. MIX. CLEU. ZAPP. Wolf. ZAPP. 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 VVPR. VVPR. ZAPP. VVPR. VVPR. ZAPP.
VVPR.
ZAPP. ZAPP.
VVPR. VVPR.
VVPR. ZAPP.
VVPR.
VVPR. ZAPP. ZAPP.
ZAPP. ZAPP. ZAPP.
ZAPP. FANH. ZAPP.
ZAPP. ZAPP. ZAPP. ZAPP.
ZAPP. ZAPP.
ZAPP.
ZAPP. NVDL.
ZAPP. ZAPP. ZAPP.
ZAPP. ZAPP. EOSE.
Coin. 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 Zap. 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 Zap.
Zap.
Zap. CONL. Zap. Zap. Zap.
Zap.
Zap. Zap. Zap. Zap. Zap.
Zap.
Zap. Zap. Zap.
ZAPP.
Zap. Zap. CONL.
Zap.
O. Coin. CONL.
ZAPP.
CONL. Zap. 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 Zap.
ZAPP. ZAPP. FANH. NVDL. Mics. NVDL. VVPR. NVDA.
QCOM.
Mics. VVPR. Mics. Mics. NVDL.
CONL.
NVDL.
CONL.
Mics.
QCOM.
ZAPP. 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 KOSS. ZAPP. KOSS. KOSS.
CONL.
Big spread.
CONL.
Mics.
QCOM.
KOSS.
CONL.
KOSS. KOSS.
QCOM.
ZAPP. VVPR. ZAPP.
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 KOSS. KOSS.
VVPR.
KOSS.
ARM.
KOSS.
I want to experience yoga all over the world. Can First Source help?
With the First Source app, we'll make sure you can use your car wherever you're at.
Even doing high lunge in Hawaii?
Yes.
Bow pose in Bali?
Also yes.
Triangle in Thailand?
Of course.
Thanks, First Source.
Namaste.
KOSS. KOSS. ZAPP. KOSS. Mics. 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 KOSS. KOSS. Mics.
VVPR.
KOSS. KOSS,
GLNG, Gold RNG, popping to the highs now at 33.51, up about
KOSS,
$2 after
KOSS,
announcing a 20-year FLNG deployment in Argentina. That's Golf Lima November Golf GLNG.
VVPR,
KOSS, KOSS,
VVPR,
KOSS, KOSS,
EJH,
KOSS, 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 ZAPP, KOSS, Mics,
at,
Mics, KOSS, 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 KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS
KOSS,
popping here now,
KOSS,
$14.25, KOSS.
KOSS,
KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS,
NVO, NVO, KOSS,
KOSS, ZAPP, TSLL.
Goog. KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS shares now over $15. KOSS.
KOSS.
NVO. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS.
Coin. Coin.
KOSS.
Googsol. KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS.
Googsol. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS.
NVO. CONL.
KOSS.
Letter M, Macy's now getting a pop to the
NVO.
high. Report
Google.
Arkhouse and Brigade offering $24.80 per share. For Macy's, hit $19.50 now at the high, letter
Google.
M.
NVO.
CIFR.
Coin. Goog.
CIFR.
Coin. Coin.
ZAPP.
Coin. Coin. CONL.
ZAPP. KOSS.
Coin.
KOSS.
CONL.
KOSS.
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform that did that.
KOSS.
Coin. CONL.
KOSS.
CONL.
KOSS. KOSS.
Riot.
KOSS. KOSS. ZAPP. ZAPP.
MDWD. MDWD.
Mics. Mics.
STZ.
ZAPP. 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 MDWD.
MDWD. MDWD.
MDWD. Big spread.
GRFS. MDWD.
MDWD. KOSS. KOSS. MDWD. KOSS.
MDWD. MDWD.
MDWD. Watch the spread.
MDWD.
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 Watch the spread.
SYT. LCID.
LCID.
SYT.
TSLL.
Sony.
KOSS. 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 TSLL. TMF. TSLL. Mics.
And how to
M.
watch out for them.
Mics.
And now, of course, he's a co-host of Confessions of a Market Maker podcast, and he's also a training educator for Micro Futures. So welcome, JJ, to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's an honor to be here. Mahalo.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And
Mics.
JJ's got some Hawaiian in him, so
okay.
we're very fortunate to be able to share some of the love of Hawaii. So JJ,
Mics.
that's not really your full bio. It's the short, cliff note version.
Mics.
So please just
Mics.
give us a little bit of background on why you have to have an avatar.
Well, oddly enough, I'm one of the guys that nobody really hears about in the market. I'm sort of the guy who helps people get things done and to make large amounts of money. And so what my job was to help create liquidity to sell vast amounts of cheap stock into by promoters, deal people who did convertible debentures. I started off in advertising, and I was working as a bouncer because I had 4 years in microbiology and there was no way I was going to get into med school. So I was working as a bouncer in Vancouver. A bunch of the traders used to come in because next door there was a strip club, and when that place closed, the girls would come and dance at my nightclub. And so of course traders, they're like they follow. And one of them gave me a book called Liar's Poker by Michael Lewis, and I was hooked. And I was completely hooked. But then I didn't know anything about the market. So what I did was I read Market Wizards.
Now, JJ, sorry, I'm the
No
king
problem.
of interruption.
Yeah.
Do you mind just giving me timeline? Because again, just kind of, I'm curious,
This
when
is
this was happening.
This was
Okay.
1990. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks.
When I was a doorman, it was a nightclub called the Love Affair in Vancouver. It was it was like one of those dark holes with music so loud that you had to wear earplugs because the floors would vibrate because it was so loud.
Oh my God.
They played like 9 Inch Nails and Ministry and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
I have a Ministry. I forgot about them.
So I'd be at the front of the
Ministry do Jesus Built My Hot Rod?
I think so.
I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Right?
Guys, you guys are talking about a different era. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Sorry. We'll share.
I'm
we'll
like
share.
lost in the conversation. I'm sorry I'm late. The link didn't work, and then you talked about things I don't even know.
That's okay. So one of the traders gave me this book. I read it. I was hooked. Then I read Market Wizards by Jack CHWY, who was on our podcast just last night. And Linda
KOSS.
Ratchke, Bradford Ratchke, said how she got a job in the market was she
KOSS.
got a job next to the exchange so she could meet people. So I said, works for her, works for me. I
KOSS.
went and got a government job, hung out at a coffee shop where the stock promoters would go until one of them finally noticed me reading the Wall Street Journal, came up to me and offered me a job as a phone chimp. And a phone chimp is the person who calls
ZAPP.
leads and asks them if they want information. Then a closer calls
ZAPP.
and gets them to buy a position. So I used to work for the government, worked at these guys at night. And this little guy who hired me was a little East Indian guy. I'm East Indian. Oh, I'm Sri Lankan, but I'm like 6'1", 270. So this little guy was about 5'2", used to wear black suits with cowboy boots, drove a black Rolls. And his assistant was this 6'1" blonde from the Netherlands. They looked like Boris and Natasha from Poland, right?
Totally.
And so he taught me the business a little bit, and then he got me my job working for the company that made the leads. And that's where I got introduced to about 300 public companies, promoters, deal people, guys who ran hedge funds, all the people who used to work at Jordan Belfort's firm, who now were stock promoters. All of those people were my clients. And so when I showed up to a brokerage house, which I got the job because one of my buddies was dating the head trader of the brokerage firm, I weaseled my way in, right? Because I applied to all the brokerage firms in Vancouver, and I got a PFO letter from every single one of them, which is a please F off. And so I had to weasel my way in just by doing favors, stuff like that. And then one day this guy, Dominic, called me up and he said, hey, JJ, do you want a job? There's an opening on the desk.
CLEU.
And I showed up to the firm with 300 clients already who did nothing but liquidate stock at 3.5% commission. So I was hired on the spot, and I didn't even know how to trade. I didn't know a single, I was a salesman.
Well, because at that point you're basically just a telemarketer, right? In essence.
Right. Yeah, I was just doing that, and working. And what I was doing, we were doing direct mail. So I learned about how to bring liquidity. This was before email. In fact, the very first email the guy who did the very first email stock blast back in 1997. 96, 97. So that's why I was obsessed with liquidity, building it. So I went to work on the trade desk, and I was in the top 10 within the first 2 months because
VSME, VS Media regains compliance with NASDAQ.
The second month, and then 200 grand.
Listing requirement, Victor, Sandy, Michael, Echo, VSME.
Because I'm charging 3 to 5%. We also had 13-day settlement in Vancouver.
VIK, so Viking Marks float out of newest ship, Victor, India, Kilo.
Illusion of activity, then retail jumps in and slam.
So can I get that,
BT,
but,
Bit Digital out with their monthly production update
are on this podcast. Explain, get into the mechanics of that a little bit more. I mean, because you're basically creating fake volume.
There's 61.7 Bitcoin in
exactly.
June, down 2.5% versus the prior month. That's Bravo Tango.
And there's two types of buying. There's real buying for investment purposes. And then there's buying like you see in our markets, which is buying to move a market up to sell a position that you've bought at a cheaper price. There is an element to the U.S. capital markets, which is the wholesale market making side. They take the other side of our trades and provide us liquidity. So what I would do was I would have, say, 50 million shares of stock between 20 or 30 different accounts, all offshore. Okay. Then what we
BNGO, Bienano announcing up to $30 million registered direct offering price
like
at the market. Bravo November Golf Oscar.
Touty trader rooms. We'd wire them 75 grand to their offshore account, and they tell all their traders to come in and buy the stock. So when they did that, what I would do is I would film it. So what happened was there was a market maker called Knight Securities, and then Schwab. Knight got bought by Virtue, and Knight was the big animal in the house, and they got 90% of the order flow. So E-Trade, Ameritrade, TD, Scottrade, all of those places routed to night. So I'd call my guys at night and I'd go, listen, ABCD, show me bids. And what I would do is I would manipulate all the market makers on a level 2 it was like sort of my chessboard.
PHIO,
so
file
all the market makers around with my orders because I was the only one
share
who had
purchase
supply.
agreement with Triton.
Right. So Knight would call me.
Papa
It would
Hotel India
be
Oscar.
$1 bid. He'd go, JJ, I can pay the bid for 200,000 shares. So I'd sell him 200,000 shares at 97 cents, and he'd make $6,000 for picking up the phone for calling me for a 10-second phone call. Right. I would charge 4% on that trade of the dollar volume, the dollar value of that trade, and that's how we made money. And the promoter who got the stock for free didn't care about price, right? And that's what a lot of traders don't understand is when there is outside supply in the market, it doesn't care about price. It's looking for liquidity. If I have 5 million shares to sell and it's $5 bid, and I see a bid for $3 for 500,000 shares, I'm hitting that bid and I will go right through you to get to it, right? So that's what I did. I would move market makers around. I would pay them. Retail trading is all about discipline and homework and stuff like that. On the other side, it's about doing favors, extortion, blackmail. That's how you get work done. But what happens is, if you have 200, 300 million shares, I open the stock at 5 cents. I'll move it up to $2-3, and then we'll start selling her down. You get 50 cents for 100 million shares. That's not a bad 3 weeks work, right?
Not a bad payday. Yeah.
Especially if you don't pay taxes on it.
TSLT.
My first client was a Swiss bank.
TSLL.
So all my clients were either Swiss banks, stuff on the Cayman Islands.
TSLT.
And the reason I don't show my face is a lot of my clients are still alive.
TSLT.
Some of them are.
TSLL.
I traded for some pretty extremely wealthy people.
KOSS.
Ex-CIA spooks, arms dealers, things like that. I would do short squeezes. That was my specialty.
AHG.
Is how to engineer and manipulate a short squeeze. I once took a stock from 30 cents to $300.
Beautiful.
I once held a NASDAQ $30 stock at 90 RSI for 3 months. Things like that. So I would engineer. So I don't show my face because I'm not really supposed to be talking about this because my business cards used to say your secrets die with me. But,
I like that.
Right. So, but after meeting retail traders, it just made me sick to see how people are losing money because they don't understand the business. And I was like, okay, you know what? I've taken enough. Maybe it's time to give something back. And nobody really talks about the stuff I do. So it's, I find that really odd because I've never really looked into the retail trading community until the last couple of years. And I thought, at least if I can tell these people what's going on at, what time of the day these guys are doing this type of business, maybe I can help some people, at least make some money or at least not blow up their accounts.
And I guess, so now we'll kind of get through the timeline and then I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussion. So this is the 90s, you're doing that kind of, what changed? Why did you leave? Or kind of give us the rest of the story arc, I guess.
Well, there was, one of the clients that I was trading for was a really snaky dude. He looked like Walter Matthau. And one day I had the flu. We were doing a short squeeze and I had taken the stock from 25 cents to $25. And what we were doing, it was using—
That's the kind of stock Steven loves to short. He loves to short.
Exactly. Oh, well, I've learned to keep out of them because I see what these people do. And I see what you guys do and I see how manipulated it is. It's unbelievable. But we've got to play your game.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of normal shorts that you can take when there's supply. But a lot of these times what I'll do is I'll restrict supply. So I'll have a short position that's bigger than the float. There's a way to do that. There's a plumbing that exists underneath the stock market called clearing and settlement, which not a lot of people pay attention to, but that's how you make big money, by paying attention to all those little details. Most people, for example, don't know that when they own a stock in their brokerage account, they don't actually own it. It's owned by Seed and Company, which is the nominee for DTC. So they don't even know that they don't own the stock. They just have a legal agreement with the brokerage firm who has a legal agreement with Seed and Company and their transfer agent or their clearing. So a lot of these things people don't understand, but those things in the system you manipulate. Like I would always do short squeezes at the end of the month because market makers don't sell a lot at the end of the month short because they don't want to be offside because they don't get paid. So they'll back away from offers. Why do you think stocks run at the end of the month? Right? Right? There's tactical things. Everything we do is tactical. We have a plan, we have agenda, and we carry out that plan. And so I was doing this happily, having a great time. This client like Walter Matthau, we were doing a short squeeze. I got the flu and my stupid partner let this guy trade in excess of the account. And what he did was he took $7 million out of the prime broker at Manufacturers Trust and not Manufacturers Trust, M&T Bank. And what they did is we had DVP accounts and they stuck us with the buys and they grabbed the sells at $25 and I was left with a $700,000 debit.
Shit.
So the only time I've ever lost money trading is when your client screws you because that's what happens. So there was another broker who was doing really well. He was doing about 5-6 million a month. And he said, listen, I need you to come run my trading room. It's out of the city, but I won't take any of your commissions and you'll be able to pay off your debt quicker. So I did. And I went to work for a guy
Trademark.
who we traded for the number one guy from Stratton Oakmont. One of the brokers from Wolf of Wall Street.
I was going to say that was one of Belford's, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of Jordan's, and most of Jordan's brokers were stock promoters because they said, Belford said,
ZAPP.
50 million in a year. These guys were like, well, why just do my own deal, sell my own stock? I'll make 50 million in a week, right? So what these guys did was they put deals together. I traded them out. Some of the really heavy duty criminal ones. See, back in the day, you didn't even need ID to open an account.
Oh, really?
So you would have all of these fake accounts. One guy who ran probably through my boss, he ran at least $500,000 of commission a month through my boss. All we knew was his name was Florida. Right.
Wow. Now, is this unique to Vancouver, or was this like, or is this still going on today? Or
no. I was
going to say
yeah. Now they've regulated the brokerage industry so much, but I mean, when I got into it, it was the 90s, and it was still Wild West.
Okay.
We had paper tickets.
KOSS.
Everything. My job was to look at the rules and figure a way around them without getting us arrested.
Yeah.
So
reminds me of Days of Thunder, the Tom Cruise, the NASCAR movie.
Yeah.
It's your job to catch me, man. When they're racing cars, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just it was a great time because you're in your 20s and you're making 200 grand a month. My market makers were making 4 or 5 million a month, right?
Yes.
So if I was retail trading and I lost 20 grand, I'd just call up somebody and go, hey, can you put up 20 for me? And they'd take it.
ZAPP.
So they'd take the bad trade off of me. That's not a good habit as a retail trader,
ZAPP.
right?
Sure.
Because you don't, you can always get some, or you can stuff it in a
ZAPP.
client account that owes you money or something, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of bad habits
ZAPP.
that way. And what was going on was there was a client of
ZAPP.
this guy, my boss, and we'll call him T-Bone. And the client was using fake ID to open accounts. And
ZAPP.
he ran a massive deal where they had enough money to actually
ZAPP.
advertise on CNBC. And this thing was trading millions and millions of dollars worth of dollar volume every day. It was trading like a NASDAQ deal on the OTCBB, which was pink sheets at the time. And I kept saying to the compliance officer, who was a young guy that we used to bribe, because
I love that your compliance guy takes bribes.
Oh yeah, because his sister had an account, and we just run trades through his sister's account.
Coming up at 8:30,
I
non-farm
bet
payrolls
he won the
expecting
best compliance officer
191,000.
award every
Oh
month.
yeah. It's like, hey, your sister made $5,000. Click, right? And we just run flips through his account.
ZAPP.
And we used to call him Radio Raheem. And Radio, I kept telling Radio, I go, man, there's a lot of money going through this office, man. There's something. Are you sure everything's okay? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, because most brokers were making $200,000-300,000 a month. My boss was making $6 million a month, right? Right. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And I go, these deals they're trading so much dollar volume. And this is before like awesome penny stocks and those guys. And
TLT.
So trading $20-30 million worth of paper in a day was quite an accomplishment. And I was like, oh man, I just like
ZAPP. KOSS. ZAPP. ZAPP.
We lost you for about 10 seconds there.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Hear me? Oh yeah.
You just dropped out for a second.
Oh, sorry. So
that was Radio Raheem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was Radio Raheem.
Make sure you get your tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
He hears you now. He hears you now, JJ.
He hears me now.
JJ, what do you think is the most important thing, though, that traders, the retail traders now need to watch out for?
Well, they think they need to know the business.
Likes.
They need to understand
KOSS.
What's going on in the business and how it pertains to them. The biggest mistake I see people doing is shorting when there's no supply. And going after those kind of sexy stocks when, like Ray, who's been on your podcast, I mean, he'll come up with something like a 9 EMA scan where they can just take a nice, easy trade and just, hug the EMA and everything will be okay. Right?
KOSS.
So
KOSS.
it's just, it's that, it's that feeling I get that so much of the trading information is wrong out there. And I hate to say it, but I've taken 200 companies public. And I've traded billions of dollars in dollar volume. And I've done things that, like, honestly, that are just absolutely, I mean, selling stock to Germany, I've done all of that, so I look at the way people are trading and they're like, you see people doing things like shorting Tesla. When you look, all you need to do is look at the float, look who owns it, and realize that they're not selling it for 20 years. Why would you short it? There's no supply, right? People, the thing is, they've overcomplicated trading so much that people forget that all this stuff started under a tree 300 years ago. And we were so smelly, they wouldn't even let us, into a building. So, and I grew up with the kind of guys that were street smart. The first time I went to the New York Stock Exchange and met floor traders there were guys from Staten Island, Jersey. They didn't have PhDs.
No.
They weren't from Wharton.
None
they were
of them
street
do.
smart.
Totally.
Right. So I see so much a tendency to overcomplicate trading. And trading is all about supply. If there's no outside supply, then it's just inside supply, which is moved back and forth by wholesale, because that's their business model, right? They take it up, sell it to us. When we get tired of holding it, they take it down, buy it back. And they'll take a market up and hold it up to sell what they bought cheaper. And nobody understands that. Right. And if you understood that, then you wouldn't be shorting when they're moving the market up. Right. You'd be just going with it. Right.
Is there like a website though that's like, do not short this, the supply's been removed? Like, is there a website that just tells us this? Or what?
No, it's just a little common sense. Here's the thing. There's a very secretive website. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's called Yahoo Finance. On there, you can go in and type in a stock and it'll tell you statistics. It'll
ZAPP.
tell you what the structure is.
Yep.
Most people are trading stock. They don't even know what structure is. When you take a company public, it is structured in a way there's an outstanding, there's an issued, and there's a float. And in that float, you have to see who owns that float because it's all about who owns the marbles. It doesn't matter. You know, Bailey Gifford owns a huge position in Tesla. Their time frame
ZAPP.
to hold an investment is 20, 30 years. They think that
BBY.
stock's going to 10,000.
So do I.
Why
ZAPP.
the hell would they sell it at $600?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So there's no supply,
ZAPP.
right? People get so involved in indicators and this and that and sunspots and, you know, bulls holding flags. I don't know how they do. They have hooves. There's no retractable thumbs. I don't get all of this stuff. I don't even use candles. I use market profile because it shows me where the position is, right? And thank God I learned that because, I mean, I used to build candles, but I don't trade them at all. And that's not taking anything away, but wouldn't you want to trade
ZAPP.
and actually understand the business? And instead of thinking about what should happen, news, this, that. Listen, I used to write news releases when the CEOs are too drunk or when you can't find them after you've given them $2 million and they go on a bender, right? So I was the guy who wrote the news releases. Why the hell would I read anything that, you know, or trust that?
KOSS.
Len.
Right? It's all, that's all advertising. Like when
KOSS.
they take a stock up in the pre-market, that's advertising to get you to come.
Mike's.
Exactly. Yep.
Right? Just like when I was a bouncer, you open the club at 9, at 11 you start a lineup, even if the club is
KOSS.
empty. Why? Because people will go stand in line. People will always chase price. You get them to chase it in the pre-open. And here's the thing.
ZAPP.
Deal guys know this, but most retail traders don't know that you can move a market up a lot
ZAPP.
pre-open because market makers don't have to make good on the minimum. So you can
ZAPP.
call them and you can tell them to move away and they'll back away so that you're doing them a favor, right? So they pull their offers, you open on a gap,
KOSS.
retail comes in, and that's buying that you've created, and then you sell
KOSS.
it to them. Yep. Right? You take markets up to create demand, and then you introduce supply. Then that's why you have a market. It's just like Walmart, except instead of toasters, we're selling you worthless paper.
Sure, exactly.
KOSS.
You know?
Steven, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, Steven.
I
I forgot. Sorry.
And I'd say I'm blown away, but
KOSS.
I kind of knew it happened, but I just didn't know that it was like this just big club and everyone's just getting super rich. I thought it was on a smaller scale, and I didn't realize it was so people were so
KOSS.
like brash about it.
Big
and
spread.
People made a lot of money. I mean, I feel sorry for us retail traders, but I mean, I don't know what to ask. It's kind of like just, again, I mean, we just, as traders, we just cut losses quickly. If something looks sketchy, if something looks amiss, we just try and guess what the
KOSS.
market makers are doing and just.
And the thing is, it's really not that complicated. It's just that nobody takes the time to learn because nobody ever talks about what I talk about. I don't know why it's never discussed.
Because nobody wants to walk away from that kind of money, JJ. Like, who wants to explain the secret sauce? It's like the secret sauce. What's in there?
Secret,
what's in their benefit? Like,
Mike's.
I mean, you have a decency.
So here's my
yourself.
question. You know, and I 100% agree with you, but you know, like let's say the listener out there, where do they go to learn this? Versus, you know, do they go to the strip club at 3 a.m. and look and try and get a job?
No. Here's the thing.
KOSS.
There are people and books who have educated. Those books and people are not okay. Well, there's Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, which I've given out 50 copies of that at least.
Wow.
I have a copy in my phone, in my car.
Wow.
It's like the Bible.
IVP.
I carry it around because every month I reread it.
Wow.
And I find stuff he talked about that still takes place now.
Wow.
There's a book written in 1874 by a man called William Worthington Fowler that describes all of the operations of Vanderbilt, Morgan, all of these big manipulators. This has been going on since time began. U.S. Steel, the very first billion-dollar public company, right? Morgan took it public with Carnegie and Schwab. But in the end, they needed to hire James R. Keene to make a market to dispose of $500 million worth of paper, right? You need to create a market to sell size into. That is what the markets are all about. And I teach this every day, and not to tout my thing, but what I like to do is I like to tell people, look, this is the common sense. This is the business. This is when we trade. This is when we don't. This is what we look for, right? And when it's not doing that, just chill.
ACHR.
Right?
ACHR.
I like retail trading because I find it relaxing compared to what I do. Because I used to have to manipulate 20, 30 different stocks at the same time. So I'd have 30 level twos up on
50 different brokerage accounts and everything. And
well, you know,
how did you even do that? How did you even do that in the 90s with your 486 computer? I mean, how'd you phones? Okay,
everything was on phones. Like you'd have a big phone with 20 speed dials.
Yep.
And then see, in the old days, like if I wanted to wipe out 6 bids, I'd take 2 phones. My partner would take 2 phones, and the guy on the other side of me would take 2 phones, and we'd go 1, 2, 3, ready, and we all hit 6 market makers instantaneously to wipe out their bids.
Oh my
right?
KOSS.
Or to lift their offers to clean out their inventory, right? There are other things
KOSS.
too, like, you know, if I'm trading a stock and I want to get people short, I'll put a market maker who doesn't have any call
ACHR.
clients. I'll put him on the low offer, and then I'll auto execute all the big ones off of his offer, clean out their inventories, lift his offer, and then jam the market up.
See, so this is you know, and this is where Stephen. So Stephen and I are obviously retail traders, okay? And we really focus on low floats, okay? That's kind of our niche, you know, low floats in a hot
KOSS.
sector with a day one type press release. Now, what's different between him and I is I used to try and short these and did it for years, and then I felt
KOSS.
like a market shift in like 2016. So now I'm almost exclusively looking to play the squeeze when I see that
KOSS.
float rotating, you know, 10 times, 100 times. And
KOSS.
because I think I recognized a change in the market. Now, Steven shorts those
KOSS.
and does well at it because he's so good at, you know, at sticking to stop losses and stuff. But you know, what is, you know, and that's why Kim brought you on as the they, because Steven and I talk about this a lot, is, you know, we see this, like you said, you've got that, you know, that sketchy stock that's bullshit press
KOSS.
release that's jammed up in pre-market, pulls at the open, and then rips back. Is that the they? I mean, is that? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. In the pre-market, what we do, if you guys know what a box is,
box in a trade, like
box of trade, yeah.
No, the box account.
No,
the box. That's the account that runs the stock.
Okay.
Okay. Usually it's the deal guys or a group of deal guys, and it's the cash and the stock are in those accounts. So what happens is in the pre-market, I will bid the market up. You guys will come, right? This is called a gap and trap. So we gap the market up, right? Right. We gap it. We sell it.
I like the sounds of this,
right? And we hold it up we hold the market up just to sell it to you, right? Now, once, like we have a saying, when the ducks are quacking, feed them. So you guys come, we feed you. Then when you're overstuffed, we pull the bid, and that's the trap. And then take
ZAPP.
out all your stops, buy it all back.
ACHR.
That
ACHR.
up and down motion cashes
ACHR.
up the box. So now we have
ACHR.
all your stock and all your
ACHR.
cash. So we've made a little bit of money. Now what we do is we cut supply. And
ACHR.
then that second run starts. Right? And then we'll sell into that gently.
Coming
Now,
up,
if it's a good,
non-farm
what I say,
payrolls
my book
expected
is called One I'm Writing, it's called
191,000.
Proper Villains.
Private non-farm
And I'll
payrolls
say, if it's a good
160,000.
criminal, they'll take their time and they'll feather the selling out.
the long con, as they say.
Right. Well, you know the story about the 2 bulls, right? The story about the 2 bulls is the first thing you learn on a trade desk, right?
Yep.
When you have all the money and all
Steven's the young bull and I'm the old bull. You know?
right?
You know the saying, right?
You
You know the saying, Steven?
Yeah, I get it, but look, everything that you're saying and all of the words that you're using, we just have different words. So like we know your game, we don't know the intricacies, we don't know how you do it. but we know that we're like, they are soaking. Like there's soaking going on. Someone's soaking the stock. Someone's holding the price. This is going to go parabolic. They're going to soak, and send it parabolic soon. Or for example, we'll know that it's ran up, and then someone will pull the rug. So as retail traders, we have like the same words but different for things.
I mean, I talk manipulatorese, right? And I try and translate that to retail. But yeah, so we'll that move in the pre-market cashes us up. It allows us to hold the bid at higher prices and make it go parabolic, like you say. When it goes parabolic, retail just comes running. Right? They just chase, because human beings chase price, right? Just like they'll stand in line to buy an iPhone, right? It's just human behavior, right? So when you chase price, we fill you. Now, if the stock has any kind of supply at all, I mean, we'll start filling, but if there is really no supply and the thing actually is not being run properly, it can just keep going and going and going. But most of these deals now, the way the market is structured, most of these deals either have a convertible debenture or an institutional holder or an offshore holder that has a sizable position, and they will liquidate into that buying, right? We always sell into strength.
Yep.
Yeah, but just to clarify, so you'll pull the supply and then you'll ignite the fire, get the demand going, get the retailers interested. You've already pulled the supply, so it's easy to push that stock higher.
Exactly.
You'll get the retailers to chase it. Then when it's really just too good to be true, boom, you hit that selling, you put that supply back in the market, and all of a sudden you guys take.
Yeah. And the thing is,
it's beautiful. I want to be on your side.
It's a great thing. And see, I mean, I used to do this all the time. I used to always remember when someone's desperate to sell, you must take advantage of them. So what I would do, see, in the old days, we would have these pirate market making firms, right? There was a firm called Fierro Brothers who were notorious short seller. The guy used to wear a bulletproof vest to work because
oh my God.
Right?
Jeez.
We had guys like this.
All short sellers should wear a bulletproof vest.
Right? So this is back when we were allowed to naked short. So what I would do is, if I knew that there was a Vancouver promoter who had a crappy deal and I didn't like the guy, say, or he was a dirtbag, right? So they've got a deal and they're paying for promotion, right? I know that the guy can't trade his way out of a wet paper bag. So I call Knight and I go, show me bids. So he'll go, hey, JJ, I can pay 100,000. I can pay $1 or the bid for 100,000 shares. So I go, great. I'll sell you 100,000 at 96 or 97 cents. He makes $4,000 for making the call, right? And then I'll say, get the hell out of the way, right? Or I'll flash 666 on the offer, right? Then my guys know to get the hell out of the way, and then I will beat the holy living crap out of that stock from 97 cents down to 60 cents. The people who are on the other side of the deal in Vancouver, because they're not used to trading OTC BB stocks, have no idea what's going on, right? So I knock it down to 60 cents, and then I'll send another market maker to the promoter's trader and say, listen, I can pay you 65 cents for 100,000. They'll sell it because they got that stock for free.
Yeah.
So now I've made 40 cents on 100,000 shares for 20 minutes work.
Now
how do one of the mechanics things that I've never fully understood is like, how do you, and I don't want anything to do with any of this, but like, how does someone obtain this paper? Is this in like shady back rooms over lines of Coke or what?
No. Usually it's at places like Peter Luger or Smith Wollensky. Here's what happens, right? When I first started in this advertising business, that the little Bullwinkle guy got me a job at. We had all these public companies, and I didn't know. And I said to my boss, I said, "Hey, chief,
KOSS.
I said, which one of these deals should I buy? Like, which
KOSS.
one can I make money on?" He looked at me and he said, "JJ, you don't buy stock, you sell it."
Right.
Right. And I'm like, okay, well,
Mike's.
How the hell do you sell it if you don't buy it? He goes,
there you go. That's kind of where I was headed. Yeah.
You get it given to you. Okay. People would pay me. Sometimes people would pay me 1 million shares to work on a deal for 3 weeks. JJ, can you help me trade this out? It's 20-cent paper. Here's 1 million shares.
LAZR.
Right? Help me out while I get rid of this.
GLD.
Help me move this
GLD.
out. Help me trade it out. And you know what? If you need more paper, just ask. It's 15
GLD.
cents a pound.
Oh.
Right? See, the thing is, stock is just worthless paper. Right? It's not,
Mara.
you know,
ZAPP.
we try and put, you know, but
And
at
the unemployment rate higher
under
than
that $20
consensus
range,
as
a lot
well.
of these companies, well, hell, even
Coop.
Uber, what does it lose?
GLD.
$4 billion? Right? Usually that would be a bankruptcy
IWM.
filing. Now it's a public company.
IWM.
Right? Because we have cheap
IWM.
interest rates and people will buy anything. Right?
GLD.
You know, when people are spending
GLD.
$400 million
OGL.
on Halloween costumes for their pets,
GLD.
you can sell them any
Mara.
worthless piece of crap
GFI.
stock.
GLD. GLD.
Come on. I mean, seriously, the economy is awash in cheap money. Right? So people are
Oh.
taking advantage of that. I mean, could you imagine
Mara.
walking into JP Morgan's office and
Run.
saying, I've got a unicorn
No.
I want to take public?
GFI.
Right.
Oh.
He would beat you until you bled to death. Right?
IAPH.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally unprofitable
you know,
company. Yeah.
Yeah,
KGC.
let's take this public, right?
KGC.
So, you know, that's the thing. And that was a tough thing for me when I became a
Jody.
retail trader because I was addicted to free stock,
Mm.
right? It's the worst addiction to have because, and
Jody.
deal guys, you know, they'd say they'd have 2, 3 or 4
MDWD.
deals. And what they
MDWD.
do is like, you know, if you need
MDWD.
to just pick up the phone and sell some stock,
ACHR.
MDWD.
right? That's how
MDWD.
we talk. And my clients,
MDWD.
I never had a single retail client.
MDWD,
So, at
Metal
the
Moon
end of
now
the
at
day,
the
my phone
highs.
call
Michael
was,
Delta
JJ,
was
what was the volume?
SOXX.
It was
Delta.
10 million shares. How much did I sell? 3. Okay, you know what to do on settlement. Wire the money here. See you. Click. That was it.
MDWD.
So how do
Big
you
spread.
is it possible today if there is more regulation? Like what are traders up against today?
ACHR.
What are they up
Okay.
against today if it's not as
MDWD.
wild west anymore in the United States?
MDWD.
Yeah.
You know, look, we have
Watch the
Canadian
spread.
viewers
What
too,
we
but
do
probably a
is-
lot of
No,
US
no, no.
viewers.
They've
MDWD.
regulated the markets, and
MDWD.
now that under $5 price range is very, very Disneyland family friendly, right? Compared to when I
MDWD.
was trading.
Big spread.
I find that there are a
MDWD.
lot of ex
Big spread.
Goldman, ex Morgan Stanley,
MDWD.
those guys who now have their own funds. You know, there's a couple of deals that I traded not last Christmas, and I haven't traded equities for a while because I just love the ES. It's just so much easier. There was a couple of fund managers. They were ex Morgan Stanley, and then they went to Tiger Management, trained by Julian Roberts.
So
and now they
this-
have their own funds. So what I'll do is I'll look to see who
MDWD.
owns the paper
Big spread.
in these companies.
MDWD.
And
MDWD.
if they're
Spread.
good criminals, you can trade those stocks back and forth for
MDWD.
months because they're
Watch the spread.
long-term greedy,
MDWD.
right? So
spread.
even if you're a day trader, have a list of symbols by guys who are ex Morgan, ex Goldman, ex whatever. Learn who's who in the zoo, right? And then just trade their deals because if they're long-term greedy, they're gonna take the stock down, they're gonna clean the float out, then take it back up, right? Resell it,
So
and they're
this
gonna
is
work it out
where-
for 2 years.
This is where, again, you know, and I think this is where when Kim hears me talk about this, that's always been my suspicion that and my next question is time frame because you know you're when I talked about they and Kim and Steven would, you know, I've always talked about like it felt like 5 years ago all of a sudden like real money came in to the penny stock type stuff and
Exactly.
something changed.
Exactly. What happened?
So these
was-
guys you're talking about, am I right that this was like 2015?
Exactly. And you know what this is? This is all
Yes.
this is all
So
because of
happy.
clearing. This is all because of clearing. Okay?
I
Guys
fucking knew it.
He's been so
Guys
happy to
like
have that confirmed, JJ.
guys like
He's been
me,
saying this for years.
we can't clear stock anymore. I've got people trying to clear stock in South Africa, right? Because US brokerage firms don't take stock certificates.
Wow.
So the only people who can do these deals are people who have prime brokerage accounts that are the big money people. Now, they're not BlackRock and stuff like that, but what they are is, say you were working at
KOSS.
Goldman and
Says
you were there
Metal
10
Moon,
years,
trading higher
they didn't
after
make you
report that
partner,
Solventum
so they give you a
ZAPP,
goodbye
uh,
gift of 10, 15 million,
considering
right? You take that,
acquiring
you
that
go
one.
open your own fund, you go to a prime
Yeah,
broker, the
that's,
prime broker will like
Michael
raise
Delta
you
with
200-300
Delta.
million, then they'll leverage you up. Those guys are participating in these deals. If you read
KOSS.
the buy side by Turney Duff, who's a buddy of mine and who's been
threw
on
my
our
pen.
podcast, right?
The buy side.
When he was
I
working,
threw everything on my desk. But
So excited.
when he was working for Galleon and Argus, right, two big hedge funds, they had the healthcare mafia. So all the healthcare traders from all the funds would get together, have margaritas and get drunk, and then they'd slice up the deals. Read Hedge Hogging by Barton Biggs. Same thing, right? These guys, they get together, they slice up the pie, they take down chunks. We call it taking down a position. You take down a position and everybody sells together. Somebody backdoors you, they're not in on the next deal, right? But now you have big sophisticated money who are long-term greedy, who are taught properly how to be proper villains. They're in the market now. That's why you have stocks. Look at NIO. Look at these deals that are trading, right? You know, they're proper villains. They're good criminals. They know how to do it.
Is that JKS as well?
My JK, you beat me. Well, we said it at the same time. And JJ, maybe I don't know, maybe you remember JKS or don't. That stock was it was like 2 months ago. Yeah. It was green every fucking day for like 40 days.
Well, I'll show you something. There's I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, but there was a deal that I did for a client where we didn't have a down day in 2 years. And it actually got written up by Bloomberg.
But you know what you do though? You give it a first red day, and then the next day you just gap that shit up. You just gap it up after your first red.
PSLL.
Yeah. But can I just ask? So for retail traders, would you say it's retail versus retail, or is it just retail versus day?
No, okay. Well, the thing is, you've got to understand there's somebody taking the other side of your trade. They paid your brokerage house to take the other side of your trade. They are trading against your order flow. So for example, you trade at Ameritrade or Scottrade or one of these places or E-Trade, your order goes to Citadel, right? If you're buying 1,000 shares of ABC and they don't have 1,000 shares, they will short it to you, right? That is their business model. It is called providing liquidity. Otherwise, what would happen was if you went to buy a $5 stock and there was no market maker providing liquidity, you'd get 100 at 5, 100 at 520, 100 at 530, 100 at 550, and 100 at 6, because there'd be nobody that willing to sell it to you.
Right.
So shorting to retail is one of the most misunderstood concepts that retail traders have and don't know anything about. The market maker's job is to short to you. He's not doing it because it's malicious. He's doing it so you can get your stock at the price you want. Now, that entails risk, right? So the market maker is at risk on that stock and he has to go to the bid to cover. Now, they do this millions of times a day. And this is why Citadel made $3 billion when the markets crashed in March. And this is why Ken Griffin can buy $200 million condos like we buy a chocolate bar, right? Because you're providing liquidity, and Citadel and Virtue are the two largest market makers in the world, Susquehanna too. They get the lion's share of all the order flow, right? They have massive inventories, and retail traders should know what an inventory is. Because you eventually become inventory. Like right now in the S&P 500 ES, inventory is long, right? So when inventory is long and there's no upside continuation, the market maker who is selling the stock up there to you or whatever, they're going to pull the bids, run the stops, get everybody out, and then take the market back up again later, right? So you have to understand the mechanics of the business model. And then there's sometimes like in choppy trade means it's a washing machine. Yep. We're trying to build a position. So we're cleaning up, cleaning down. It's like a vacuum cleaner.
See, and that's where, and this will, the listeners know, and this is what, this is visually for me, when I'm talking this low floater, that's, and I know this is kind of more degenerate day trader talk than what you have, but that's when I'm always looking at that VWAP hugging action, I call it.
Yeah.
Like all through the day, it's just up, it's below, it's up, it's below, it's up, below. Because I just imagine them, building this, and then we see that late day blow up, and then they sell into it. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because all the thing is now, for example, for the last couple of months, people are wondering why the market's not going down. Well, because BlackRock's not selling. right? Vanguard's not selling. But here's the thing.
MDWD.
If you had, look, what's the daily volume on Apple today? 52 million shares. You go try and sell 200 million shares of Apple today. You'll take the stock to $5.
Right.
The market's not, we don't have liquid markets in the United States, right? You couldn't sell if Vanguard came out of 10% of their position.
Sure.
The stock would good luck holding 5, right? So because they, the thing is, we used to have a trick. When you got a deal, right, you want to get a bank or a fund so long
KOSS.
that they can't sell. You just load them up with, stuff them with so much paper, right?
That's the old saying, so if you owe the bank $1 million, they owe you. If the bank, if the bank owes, or if you owe the bank 100 million, you own the bank.
you own them, baby.
Open. LYG.
ZAPP.
CHWY.
GDX.
GRFS.
GDX. SLV.
AMZN VST, ANVS. PHG, CHWY, HL. CHWY, RIVN.
MDWD. ZAPP. SLV. ZAPP.
Coin. NEM. RH.
MIX.
WBA.
ZAPP. MIX. KOSS. MIX.
Assay.
MIX.
O. AIMD. RDFN.
MIX. MIX.
NEM.
ZAPP. KOSS.
RDFN.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
RH. GFI. PPLT. O. PPLT. GFI. GHI. HMY. NVD. ABNB. Ghetto.
KOSS.
NVDA NVIDIA getting a downgrade this morning at New Street
KOSS.
from a buy to a neutral. That's November Victor Delta Alpha NVDA.
KOSS. 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 KOSS.
KOSS cost getting another pop here. $15.17. Kilo Oscar Sandy Sandy.
KOSS.
KGC. SBSW URGN.
QLGN, Qualigen shares making new highs now. Up more than 100%. QLGN.
KGC. AIMD. KGC. 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 NVD.
MDWD. Big spread.
FSM. KGC. EIC. app, MRT, ACXP,
MDWD, KOSS, ZAPP, TSLL, KOSS, KOSS, TSLL,
dash,
TSLL, TSLL, MDWD, big spread, MDWD, 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 TSLL,
STZ,
TSLL,
UPC, on, PPLT,
TSLL,
PPLT,
ER, KOSS,
NAM, O,
SIVR,
MA, O,
ACHR, ACHR, KOSS,
OCGN, PPLT,
KOSS,
NAM.
Mics. Mics.
LYG.
ACHR. Mics.
PPLD.
ACHR.
STZ.
SLV.
NAM.
ZAPP.
HMY. NAM.
ZAPP. KOSS.
HMY. Capped. FOSS. NAM. NAM.
ZAPP. KOSS. KOSS.
LILM. LILM.
KOSS.
SYT Silo launched second project of Silo Hotel Ushihayama Pool Villa Luxury Condominium.
KOSS.
That's SYT Sandy Yankee Tango.
CLEU.
Oh.
BENF Beneficent rescheduled their Q4 and full year earnings
LND.
release and
LND.
webcast to July 9th. That is
IQ.
Bravo Echo November Foxtrot, BENF.
KOSS.
The information reporting Google struggles
KOSS.
to lessen reliance on Apple Safari. That's GOOGL and AAPL.
Mics. SLV. ACHR. Mics. ACHR.
PPLT.
Mics.
ALC, SYT. 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 SYT.
SYT.
SYT. SYT. SYT.
SYT. SYT.
USO. UPC. SYT. SYT.
SYT.
CYN.
SYT. KOSS.
UPC.
KOSS. KOSS.
USO.
KOSS.
LIL. USO.
ZAPP.
TMDX.
ACHR. KOSS. MDWD. KOSS.
AG.
ZAPP. 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 KOSS. 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 ZAPP. KOSS. ZAPP.
LILM.
KOSS.
Assay.
KOSS. MDWD. KOSS. Mics. KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
LILM.
TSLL. KOSS.
HL.
KOSS.
LIDR. MEGL.
Mics. ZAPP.
GLD. GLD.
ZAPP.
SBSW. GLD. GLD. Gold. INTH, ALC. JAGX. GLD.
TSLL.
GLD. 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 Gold. RGLD. O. Pause.
Benzinga market update. S&P
TSLL.
futures up 0.75. The Dow futures up 33. Nasdaq is up 8. Crude up
GLD.
25 cents at $84.13.
TSLL.
Natural gas down 5 cents at $2.36. Gold is up $18 at $23.8720.
UGL.
Bitcoin futures
No.
down
TSLL.
41.55 at 55,670.
HL. BTG.
NEM.
RGLD. NEM. SHOT. UGL. HL. CHWY. AG. On. TT.
TSLL. SYT.
CD.
NVD.
NEM. POS.
KOSS. ACHR.
SBSW. SBSW HL.
MDWD. Mics.
CD. NVD.
Mics.
ALC.
ZAPP. ACHR.
ALC. Assay.
TZA. TZA.
CYN. NEWP.
TZA.
TT.
KOSS. MDWD. KOSS.
BTG.
KOSS.
VOD.
KOSS.
FOSS.
SOXL. SOXL.
INVH.
SOXL. SOXL. ZAPP.
SA. O.
SOXL. 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 TSLL. SOXL.
NRG dash
Mics. AMD. Mics. ACHR. KOSS.
EHAB and Habit,
KOSS.
shareholder press release.
AMD.
Said Eric's Capital expresses disappointment in Inhabit's continued excuses and empty promises. That's Echo Hotel Alpha Bravo.
ZAPP. 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 MDWD. ZAPP. ZAPP. MDWD. 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 MDWD.
Curry LMFA
MDWD. 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 Mics. MDWD.
ALC
MDWD. MDWD.
VOD NAM Ghetto.
ACHR. ACHR.
VLCN.
Mics.
Silo.
Mics.
IPW. Silo.
Mics.
SBSW.
CAMT.
CAMT. Riley. Hollow. Hollow.
Hollow.
TNR. Hollow. AMDL. Hollow. Hollow.
CLEU.
TNXP.
CLEU.
AMD.
CLEU.
AMD. AMD. AMDL. DEO. AMD. SURG.
TSLA.
AMD. 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 AMDL. AMD. VTNR.
SOXL. ZAPP. ZAPP.
North-northeast.
ZAPP. Mics. Mics.
SIBN.
ZAPP. CLEU.
CDIO. NYXH.
CLEU. 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 ZAPP. ZAPP.
VZLA.
ZAPP. ZAPP.
One minute to the U.S. market open.
ZAPP.
NYXH.
CLEU. MDWD. ZAPP. ZAPP. ZAPP.
ALBT. MICS,
KOSS,
MDWD,
MDWD,
ASNS, IVP,
CLEU.
BLNK,
AHG.
KOSS, KOSS,
CRNC.
KOSS, ZAPP,
ZAPP.
ZAPP,
KOSS.
ZAPP,
ZAPP,
ZAPP.
CLEU,
ZAPP,
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 ZAPP.
ZAPP, ZAPP,
S&P 500 up 1.51 points
ZAPP.
after the open. Dow Jones down 23.98. Nasdaq up 14.97.
KOSS.
ARM,
Big spread.
CGC, ZIM,
KOSS. Big spread. KOSS.
NKLA,
KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS.
ZAPP,
ZAPP.
SPWR,
KOSS. ZAPP.
KOSS,
KOSS,
KOSS.
KOSS,
KOSS,
KOSS.
KOSS,
KOSS,
BW,
KOSS.
ARM,
KOSS,
KOSS.
KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS, KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS.
ENPH, North Northeast,
KOSS,
ACHY,
KOSS, KOSS,
AMDL, ASNS,
KOSS,
KOSS.
KOSS,
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 KOSS.
ANVS, ILGM, RDZN,
CIFR.
OMGA,
Siri.
INSM,
ACHR.
KOSS, KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS. ANVS.
KOSS, KOSS, TSLZ,
KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS, Poet,
KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS, KOSS,
KOSS cost $16.15 at the highs of the day now. KOSS halted on a circuit breakers. Kilo Oscar Sandy.
DBI, CNSL, MLGO, DM, BTDR, ABSI,
ZAPP,
Letter M, Macy's hitting new highs now. $19.60, up
ZAPP,
8.75%
AB,
on that
SISI,
raised offer.
DBI,
Reported from our Cass and Brigade, $24.80 per share.
SISI, DM, TSLZ,
Mike's, ZAPP, ZAPP,
AB,
Shares of Tesla
Mike's,
pulling back here, 244.26.
MDWD, MDWD, MDWD,
ZAPP,
SFIX, MDWD, MDWD,
MDWD, MDWD,
DBIJT, MDWD, 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 MDWD,
MDWD,
VVPR, SPWR,
ZAPP, 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 ZAPP. CLEU.
App. Poet.
TSLL.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS shares resume trading now over $17. KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
KOSS.
$17.60. Shares up about 62% today.
Yes.
KOSS. Kilo Oscar Sandy Sandy.
VVPR. KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
$18
KOSS.
now on KOSS.
KOSS.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
Poet. KOSS. Poet.
INSM.
Poet.
SFIX.
Poet.
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 ACHR. App.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
SFIX.
KOSS.
DBI. ACET. VVPR. VVPR. HUT. LPA. HUMA. BW.
KOSS.
ANVS. 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 ANVS.
ANVS. NVDQ. ANVS.
IVR. SFIX.
ZAPP.
MDWD. 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 WWD. PLG. PLG. PLG.
ANVS.
Mob. App. PDYN.
ZAPP. ZAPP. Siri. EOSE. ZAPP.
Poet. Poet. Poet.
ZAPP. ZAPP.
EMKR.
ZAPP.
DBI.
PDYN.
FFWM.
MDWD.
MDWD. Big spread.
PLG.
ZAPP.
HUMA.
Shares of Nordstrom, JWN, KSS Coles, all
MDWD.
higher.
MDWD.
Macy's raised offer news.
MDWD.
Macy's shares now up about 11%.
MDWD.
M.
MDWD.
MDWD.
PLG. MDWD.
MDWD.
SLNH.
PDYN. Mikes.
SLNH.
Siri. EOSE. TSLL.
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
Up.
Serve. Poet.
Poet.
ANVS. ANVS.
Poet.
ANVS. ANVS.
ANVS. EOSE. Up.
EMKR.
ZAPP. ZAPP.
FUTU. HUMA. Mob.
ADAP.
ACCD.
ADAP.
North-northeast.
KOSS. 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 ZAPP. KOSS. Siri. KOSS. 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 KOSS.
EMKR. FUTU.
KOSS. KOSS. Big spread. KOSS.
NOS.
KOSS. KOSS. Up.
ADCT. HUT.
Up. KOSS. KOSS. Big spread. ZAPP. ZAPP.
HITI.
ZAPP,
ANVS. NOS.
CLEU,
UPC. HUT. ASRT. SLNH.
KOSS, KOSS,
HUMA.
KOSS, KOSS,
EMKR. ANVS. 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 ANVS.
ZAPP,
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
ANVS,
ASRT. ANVS.
ANVS,
ANVS. Mob.
CLEU,
Skin.
Shares of Apple hitting a new
ZAPP,
high now, up about 1.1%. 224.27 AAPL,
ADCT.
Alfalfa Papa
ZAPP,
Lima.
ZAPP,
WW. ANVS.
ZAPP,
ANVS. 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 ANVS.
ANVS,
Mob. ASRT.
ZAPP, 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 ZAPP,
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
ZAPP,
ANVS. HUMA. ACET. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
ZAPP,
HUT.
ZAPP,
SMR.
ZAPP,
ANVS.
EOSE, SMR, KOSS. EOSE.
FUFU.
KOSS.
ARM.
KOSS. TSLT.
WW.
KOSS. TSLR.
ACCD.
KOSS.
Skin. SLNH.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
FUFU.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
CONL.
KOSS. KOSS. KOSS.
EVGO.
KOSS.
ACET.
KOSS.
KTRA, penny stock getting a pop here on some volume. Kilo Tango Romeo Alpha, KTRA.
ARM.
KOSS. KOSS.
ARM Holdings,
KOSS.
popping here, 181.34. Alpha Romeo Michael. AMD at the highs now, 169.12.
KOSS.
CONL.
Alpha Michael Delta, 3%.
KOSS. 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 Big spread. KOSS.
BHR. BHR.
BHR, Braemar Hotels, getting
BHR.
some volume in now. BHR up 11%. Bravo Hotel Romeo.
SLNH. ARM. CONL.
KOSS. KOSS. ZAPP. EOSE. KOSS.
SLNH. BHR.
KOSS. BHR. KOSS. KOSS.
NEGG. NEGG.
NEGG.
DBI.
EOSE.
GME.
ANVS. 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 ANVS.
EMKR.
ANVS. ANVS.
ANVS. GME.
ANVS.
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
ANVS.
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. RDDS.
ANVS.
ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS. ANVS.
ANVS.
EMKR.
ANVS. 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 GSAT.
EMKR.
Up.
EMKR.
EMKR.
ANVS.
Up.
ANVS. EMKR.
ANVS.
SYT.
Shares hitting
FUF.
around $10
SYT.
at the highs, now
EMKR.
up about 22%. ANVS, Alpha November Victor Sandy.
EM.